and technology doesn't bother me. It truly is something that is here to enable. I don't think any of us worry about should worry about losing our jobs. A very, very simple analogy that I make is that before spreadsheets, right, before Excel, something as simple as Excel spreadsheets came in, there was a lot of calculations being done, by hand, paper and pen writing. Once you had accountants who kept books, the good old accounting ledgers before you had Quicken and all the other financial systems that came in place. Did that mean that there were no more accountants left, right? All it means is that it made accounting that much more simpler, faster, and accountants now could use their time to do more significant, more productive work from an accounting perspective. So I'd like to set the stage to say that AI is not something that we need to worry about. It is only going to augment, create more productivity. And the beauty with what we're doing today at Microsoft is allowing AI to be made available to everyone here in the room. It's not just meant for the few elite, large organizations anymore. So why is it that AI today is now becoming, the buzzword? So 25 years ago, when I started in the workforce, AI existed, but AI at that time was really for a few exclusive companies who had the computing power, who had the ability to create a pool of scientists available, and it wasn't available for everyone. However, today with all the data that's coming out, there is more and more easier ways for us to interpret this data. So if you look at the imperfect data that comes in, typically, in the past, you needed to have perfect data, perfect matching to say, okay, this is the customer ID, and it had to have a perfect match for it to come up with your record. Today, if you said Latika Pai or maybe different spellings and give a little bit more information, you can get that data to be interpreted. You use today text, voice, and images in terms of understanding this data. And the way we interact with people in natural ways is how we're trying to use artificial intelligence to say, how does a human being today, without perfect data, figure out with whom they're talking and how they need to engage with that person? So that really is what we're trying to do with artificial intelligence. How many of you understand what big data is? All right. So most of you understand what big data is. Basically, there is reams and reams and reams of data available today. And we're trying to figure out how do we get intelligence with this data? How do we extrapolate and how do we make conclusions that in the past were not that easily understood? We have now powerful algorithms that are available for us to make that. Again, if I were to go into a mall and decide that I want to buy a pair of shoes, there are times when you can walk in there and they could pretty much tell you, because you've come in, you've given them a piece of just one piece of data, where now they've extrapolated and said, okay, she likes Nikes and she's a runner and she would like, let's try and sell this particular brand of shoes to her. So this could be when you walk into a store or you go online, there's data that they have found out about you as an individual, and they're able to use algorithms to come and then give you something that is really of interest to you. Cloud computing has also made this very, very available, affordable to everyone, right? So again, cloud computing in a very, very simplistic way to describe what it is. In the past, for you to be able to get access to big data computing power, you needed to buy a lot of very heavy-duty computers, and And that was affordable only to the large organizations. Today, with the cloud, you can actually access heavy data computing as a result of being able to buy it on an as-needed basis. So that's why the world is moving to cloud. Microsoft is all about cloud. We don't sell licenses anymore. We sell you Azure, which is our cloud. We have an infrastructure service. We have a platform as a service. So today, with big data, powerful algorithms, which is available, cloud computing, which is affordable, that's what has been the big breakthrough in AI, making it available to everyone who needs to use it. With AI, we're trying to mimic as much as possible human parity. This is something that you will keep hearing about constantly, about human parity, right? Because that is the benchmark. The benchmark is how does a human, how does a computer match up to what a human today can do? So in 2016, we had a 96% vision human parity. 2017, in terms of speech to text, 94.6%. 2018, translation, which is from one language to the other, there's been about 70% breakthrough, and 88.5% in terms of reading, again, reading out aloud and making sure that they understand what the text has been written. So every year this is increasing. These are some of the numbers that Microsoft works with. I've actually seen some startups whose numbers are even higher in terms of human parity. This is a video. Can you just check and play that, please? The video we're about to see is really about showing how AI is pervasive through all walks of life today. And so once we get the sound going, I think we'll be okay.
Of our time. But it's human ingenuity that makes it so powerful. Jane started losing her vision when she was 12.
California Street.
She uses Seeing AI.
I crept down
the stairs and out the door,
which enables her to read and navigate her world. Microsoft AI is helping farmers adapt to climate change.
We can use technology to help feed the world without wrecking the planet.
Enabling wildlife conservation.
The ability to use AI really democratizes science. WildMe uses images from any source to help study endangered species.
And creating new ways for people with hearing loss to communicate.
I want the exact same information that my hearing friends have.
It's more than just imitating intelligence or sounding like a human. Microsoft AI is changing every industry, from healthcare.
And now you can see these finite details, the relationship with many structures,
to engineering and telecommunications.
we are using artificial intelligence to change the way we are relating to customers.
AI lets us put people first.
The Microsoft tools really enabled us to breathe digital life into an iconic brand persona.
The product that we make is not a thing in a box.
No.
Microsoft AI empowers others to create experiences and potential. This is just the beginning.
Artificial intelligence, it's just opened up this whole world.
The future we invent is a choice we make. Artificial intelligence isn't coming, it's here.
Can we move on to the next slide, please? So as you saw in the video today, everything from wildlife gathering information. They said, take pictures from anywhere. When they were trying to track zebras out, so they ran a program where they had thousands of people who were going on safaris who'd click, send this data back, and then it would be analyzed. And in terms of trying to track and figuring out what the population of zebras were. Seeing AI is an app that is actually available. It's on my phone for those who would like to get a demo of it after the session. I'm happy to do so. It's an app available for people who are vision impaired. If you put a menu in front of it, it will read out the menu. It will tell you exactly what the headings are. If you put a currency note, it will tell you right now in about 5 currencies it's available. It will tell you whether it's a dollar bill, $20, $100. So we are trying to make it more and more available to the common man. Microsoft is extremely big on AI for good, AI for societal impact. We're trying to see how can we work on projects where AI can be taken to everyone all over the world. As I mentioned earlier, there is this concern that AI is going to be non-inclusive. AI is not there to enable people, and AI there is this mistrust around AI. Again, how many of you in this room have heard about it and have those concerns? I'm going to make this interactive because then it becomes more interesting, right? So what is your concern, or what are your thoughts about AI?
Thanks. So I thought it was interesting when you asked the question about if we're worried about AI, and nobody seems to be. And I think that it's interesting that we haven't really had it yet. So I think that maybe there isn't a watershed moment. But these ideas that, for example, doctors will lose jobs or lawyers will lose jobs, so that a machine will be able to diagnose you better. The nurse won't lose a job because it's harder to put a drip in and to take care of somebody. A machine can't do that. And if we lose, we've lost jobs at the bottom. So I come from South Africa. We have a 40% unemployment rate. We have a massive problem in terms of the economy and getting people into job space. And as machines do better at digging up roads or doing kind of labor, so people can't come up from the bottom. And I guess the question is, what happens when the next layer leaves? What happens with people who've gone to university and are doctors and are lawyers, and the machines are smarter than them? So the nurses might still have jobs, but what happens to that next level? But I don't think it's happened yet, so I don't think we've got our heads around the challenge.
I think that's a really, really valid concern. The reality is, world over, if you look at it, let's look at doctors, right? Every country today has fewer doctors than actually can support the population. That is the reality today. There are not enough doctors. In a country like India, where one would think that in a population of billion plus that there are enough doctors, the answer is no. A large percentage of our population does not have access to good medical care. This is the same in every emerging market I go to. The reality is, what AI does is make the doctor more productive. The same doctor who sees maybe 30, 40 patients a day, as a result of using AI, the ability to actually find out what is the first level of diagnosis, to kind of prompt the doctor, help the doctor, is going to be, that same doctor could potentially now see, instead of 40 patients, maybe 100 patients, right? Does that mean that the doctor does not have a job anymore? That's not the answer. It's really making you more and more productive. Last week on Friday, when I was in Delhi, I met with this very interesting startup in Delhi. What they're doing is that 50% of the antibiotics that's being prescribed today is prescribed wrong because they don't have enough data about what the bug actually is. So as a result of these prescriptions going wrong in the first 72 hours, there is the challenge that you are on multiple rounds of antibiotics. So what this company does, which is called the Center of Life, is looking at saying that let me look at patterns that come in to say, okay, this is North Indian man in this particular borough living in this community. We know what the bugs that we have seen, what are the likelihoods in terms of what kind of infection that person has, and recommending what drugs, what antibiotics should be given. So imagine reducing that error, which today world over is at 50%, over 50% of wrong, and making sure that you're giving them the right prescription. These are the practical applications of where we're using, big data, machine learning in terms of helping doctors out. Are there jobs that are going to go as a result of AI? The answer is yes. So it wouldn't be fair on my part to say that jobs are not going. So there are going to be low-level jobs today. There's a lot in a country, again, I'll take India because I know that intimately. There are a lot of BPOs, call centers, where people call in to ask about, what time is my flight? I had an issue with my credit card. Can those tasks be automated? Absolutely yes. We are using AI to automate those tasks. So what are we doing instead is trying to see how do we get those employees who are working on, basic low-level call center jobs, if that's what you'd like to call it, in terms of upgrading their skills to maybe saying, okay, sir, we know you've just missed your flight, United Airlines flight. However, we have another flight that we can book you on, and as a result, help that person through versus, going through the whole process. That's how we would like to upskill our call center folks so that they are not left in the lurch. It definitely is a concern for many governments. Everywhere I go, that's why we do talk about AI to say, how do we make sure that our the workforce is being trained and skilled. Today, there are several people who still don't know how to use Word, PowerPoint, and Excel, right? And today, that is a basic skill that we all need to use. So as a result, the ones who didn't learn it are being left behind. It's a simple analogy that I keep using, that each one of us will have to upskill ourselves in terms of embracing technology. Ethics is something that I'd like to spend some time talking about. Microsoft, again, is very, very big on ethical AI because there is this concern that when you build systems, right, and I'll talk about an example in the next slide, that it may land up excluding certain sections of society as a result of the way that the machine was taught. And why was the machine taught was because the person who was training the machine thought in a particular way. That person had unconscious bias, and as a result, those were the algorithms that were being built, and that's the way the machine was taught. So at Microsoft, we are very, very particular in making sure that we design products, in an ethical manner, in an inclusive manner. This is something that I always like to present in my AI workshops because this is something that worries me, that if it's not taken head on, that it will be a challenge later on, because now you don't have a person to blame, you have a machine to blame, and then it kind of gets into a vicious cycle. So we have an internal committee which is the Ether Committee on Ethics in Engineering and Research. We have an external committee that Microsoft leads, which is the Partnership in AI. And we keep, Amira, who's our head of ethics and society, who are we solving for, who's winning, who will be impacted, what are the unintended consequences, what are the potentials for misuse and exploitation. So when we build our AI products, when we build our AI services, we are constantly asking these questions to make sure that the technology that we're building is going to be inclusive. The ethical AI decision framework, right? What is the purpose that we are building it? What is the technology capable of doing? The quality and the reliability and the sensitive use cases. Let me talk about the sensitive use cases. For example, denial of consequential services. What does that mean? You don't want to be, applying for a mortgage in a country, say, for example, the United States where I lived in, and being denied a mortgage because of my ethnicity, color, race, gender. So we want to make sure that when we build in algorithms that make sure that when they're coming up with credit scores, does not look at this piece of data, which as a result, precludes people in terms of getting what we call consequential services, and they're not denied of that. Risk of harm. When you use AI in manufacturing setups, you want to make sure that the machines that are being driven by AI, that you believe that are, harmful, if you don't make sure that they have been programmed in such a way that if there is some harm that is caused, it can be immediately rectified. You cannot have a situation where it's just a runaway train and you can't stop, right? So those are what we call the risk of harm, and we want to make sure that all use cases are taken care of when we build these systems. Personal freedom, again, you don't want racial profiling when you go into a country. The Global Entrepreneurship Congress is a fabulous example of how everyone from different parts of the globe have come in and are allowed to participate. You don't want artificial intelligence where if I were to register at the entrance, that I'm not allowed because of my ethnicity and of my color. I think this is of great concern. There have been, many use cases for those of you who are following where AI is going, where as a result of training times we've had issues where there have been sections of society that have been, I would say, disallowed from getting certain services. So we, as Microsoft, keep pushing and ensuring that we look through these 4 tenets when we build our AI. And as a part of the external committee, which comprises of all our competitors who are developing AI services, that everybody follows this. AI for your businesses. Again, there's this concern that AI, should we adopt AI? Should we not adopt AI? As a result of adopting AI, does that mean we will be getting rid of our employee count? It is a constant question that C-level officers have. At the end of the day, AI allows you to engage with your customers better, empower your employees better, optimize operations, and transform products. How do we, again, engage with your customers? I just gave you the United airline example, saying that, I'm at the airport, I've missed my flight, and if you call in, if they knew immediately by your frequent flyer number or the fact that, the telephone number, they know this information pops in and it says, Mrs. Pai, you've missed your flight, and we can put you on the next flight. What better customer service is that? Because it's really personalized. They know why I'm calling. I'm not wasting time going to 6 different people today to bring my ticket information up. That immediately creates that level of customer loyalty. If United can do that for me over any of the other airlines, I'm only going to fly United because I know that their customer service is going to be premium. Engaging and empowering employees. Again, today, if you look at if an employee can understand and engage with the right people, I will take a HR example. In many companies, I know some of the bigger companies are better than the smaller companies, but there are a lot of questions that are not being answered. The employees are not being engaged. They are unaware of it, and it takes a long time to kind of respond to the employees. If they're able to actually, work with an HR chatbot to ask the basic questions that they have, which, the turnaround time could be weeks, but could be shortened as a result of the bot being able to answer the questions. Employees feel better, they feel more empowered. Optimizing operations. Again, if you have operations that can be streamlined as a result of using, robots to do, robotic process automation is a very, very big buzzword in the whole digital transformation space. An example of RPA is today when you send a check into a bank, you need someone to look at the maker and figure out, who is the maker and who is the one who is the approver of it. It is a long drawn process. So if you have bots today who has the maker and bots who do the checker, and as a result, you eliminate the people who are doing that work, but the processing time is much faster, and as a result, the servicing time is much faster. Do we have a challenge there in terms of losing, the person who was being the maker and the checker, those jobs going out? The answer is yes. But as a result of it, you're streamlining operations, the bank becomes more profitable, and you get better customer service, right? You're transforming the products that you're now, giving to your customers. Any questions? Okay. So we just spoke about the conversational agents, transforming your engagement with customers and employees, intelligent apps, leverage AI to create the future of business applications, business processes, transform critical business processes with AI. 95% of customer interactions powered by AI bots by 2025. I just mentioned a HR AI bot, that you could speak with. Today there are bots that are available for everything. If you're looking for for makeup, right? Sephora, which is the world's largest makeup cosmetics company, you can actually chat with a Sephora bot and say, take pictures of your skin, tell them, what the challenge with your skin. You can sit in your home and you can get advice back saying that, okay, you have oily skin and this is the kind of moisturizer that you need to use. This is the kind of pack that you need to use on your face, right? So you don't even have to walk into a store, and you have a bot out there who's advising you on what you need to buy. So the number of bots that are being added by the minute are huge. It just is a intelligent way of getting the responses back versus being frustrated going on the internet and trying to search for information and being flooded with pages of information that's not necessarily relevant to you. So in the next, we're talking about the next 5-6 years where we believe that almost all customer interactions will be powered by AI bots. So what should your AI journey be? Again, we have a mixed crowd here, and we have people who come from the business side, we have entrepreneurs, and I think there are people who are just curious about what the AI journey is. So for an enterprise, you develop an AI strategy aligned with your overall business, democratize AI and make it an enterprise-wide capability. So when we use the word democratize, what does that mean? It means make it available to everyone, right? Make it available. So this chatbot that we create, it doesn't mean it's only available for the C-level officers. It should be available to all employees. It should, if you have a chatbot, why would you only restrict it to a few of your customers? Make it available to everyone. That is what we mean by democratizing, making it available to anyone at every level, right? In the Seeing AI that we had, if you look at what AI has done, it has actually made it inclusive. People who couldn't read, people who had challenges going to a restaurant, people who needed to, only a few of them could get access to this technology. That technology is available to all sections of society. It's not only the rich who have access to it, it's even the poor who can have access to it, is what we really want to do. Establish appropriate governance. Again, this is extremely important when you're building applications, because you don't want to exclude people as a result of their ethnicity, their color, gender. Put your data house in order, because AI is driven by data and data and data, right? So again, if you are looking to be running algorithms off your data, you need to make sure that the data that you have is really good data. It's data that you're allowed to have. Today with GDPRS, you need to worry about making sure that this data is data that you've collected authentically and the customer has allowed you to use that data. Find the right mix of solution. Start with a clearly defined proof of business value. Again, do you go all out in terms of saying that there are no more people in my organization and all it's going to be are the bots that are going to help you? That's not the right answer. You need to go through your business processes and understand which one of those business processes could do with using a bot or using AI to enhance productivity, right? And then you start with a clearly defined proof of business value, start small, engage, see the value, and then decide whether you want to scale that up. From a technology perspective, we have our infrastructure, we have our services. So we have infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and we have various tools that we offer that can be used to leverage our AI capabilities. I talked about Azure. Azure is our cloud hosting platform. We have the Azure infrastructure, the Azure AI services, and the tools. We have pre-built cognitive services, we have conversational AI, and we have our machine learning services. Again, all of this 20 years ago, or even I would say 5 years ago, was only available to the largest, most powerful corporations in the world who actually built teams around it. Today, these services are available for anyone, any startup who's looking to leverage our AI services has access to it. That is the power of what we're doing with AI today. It is not only meant for a few people who can afford it, it's meant for everyone to use and leverage it. This is our AI infrastructure. All of this is available to people. So any techies in the room, I'm sure you'll be happy to see that we have what you need. All of this information is available on our Microsoft website. We bring to you all the Azure bot services, the Azure cognitive services, the search, different forms of understanding, our Databricks, machine learning, AI infrastructure. Again, all of this is available for entrepreneurs, for developers to use and leverage. You don't need to start from scratch. This is something that Microsoft makes available to anyone who would like to leverage it. I talked about early on about what is knowledge mining, unlocking valuable information lying latent in all your content. So is there information that you have about your customer that you took for granted, but now you can use and leverage to create a new business line? So that's the other thing that we do when we have a lot of data that's available about a customer that, over the years, how do we create new products and enhanced customer service opportunities? So for those of you who are aware, the John F. Kennedy files were recently released. And Microsoft researchers started looking at this data to see what kind of patterns, who was Lee Harvey Oswald, what was the reason for his assassination, and started using some of our AI ML to start giving us some insights. So this is a 2-minute video which I found very, very interesting to see how as a result of having big data, having algorithms that's available, the AI ML side has really helps you to start looking at reams and reams and reams of paper that was scanned in and then and analyzed and in terms of some of the information that came out. So if you could please play the video.
Hi, I'm Brian Smith.
I'm Corb Thompson.
And we work in the Cloud and AI division here at Microsoft on cognitive search. Cognitive search is an AI-first approach to content understanding. So no matter what shape your content's in, cognitive search gives you the ability to use all of our cognitive services to inspect and unlock all of that content and then search against it.
What we've found is that you can actually take AI in the cloud and have it do all that reading, have it do all the understanding, and then surface to you the most relevant bits of information. You could just compose the AI you want to express. What are the things that I want to extract from my documents? And it can go and extract all the information from your data source directly. It distributes all that compute in the cloud, and then it puts it and organizes that knowledge inside of an index so you can easily search it.
And while we're kind of going through this process, it just so happened that the government released all of their files from this JFK investigation, right? This is like 60 years of like typed and printed and handwritten and photographs and evidence and all these things.
We just ran all the content through, and right away you can see that the CIA, the FBI, and even Cuba was involved in all of this.
You've got a document. We needed to run like OCR on it, and we needed to run handwriting on it to find out where this thing was. So now we've got text. Then we go off and we take this text and we run all of the text through things that find entities, right? So now we've got an entity. Well, you can then link that back and you can say, here's what I understand about your content kind of in isolation. And then for anything that you want, now I can tell you everything that Bing knows about this relative to the whole world. And you can express all of that in basically 3 skills, which is really powerful.
Not only can you see that information, but it organizes it in a way that you can actually navigate the data very quickly. So what we found is we could express this as a graph, and then you can just see how each of these topics that are discussed in these documents are related to each other. And so whether you're trying to figure out who assassinated a president, or if you're just managing thousands of contracts or engineering plans, we found customers in all these industries derive value from the content that they have. You can take AI, compose it together, and unlock all the value, that latent value that you have in your content, and start putting it to good use. And all the cognitive capabilities we showed are built into Azure Search.
So you can get started today. In just a few clicks, you can go through and you can add the cognitive capabilities to your content and get it into Search Index so you can start asking these questions on your data.
And we've published the code that we have, so you can just go today, put your content into the cloud, and have the same experience that we just created in just a few minutes.
But no matter what you choose to do, I think you'll be surprised to find how easy it is to take all of Microsoft's AI capabilities and use them together in cognitive search.
So this is available to all of you. If you go on to our Microsoft AI Cognitive Services and you want to play around and do it, I think this would be quite interesting. So if you look at how the demo was built, you know, we had media, unstructured data, we had files which were unstructured. We put that into our data factory. We have something called the Azure Blob storage, where all the data's come in. We did natural language processing. That's where the cognitive search that they spoke about in the video. We have our different databases that is there. The Cosmos database is one of the databases which is the highest availability globally in terms of getting data, access and making sure that it doesn't take forever in a day to get the data out. And then we have the app service that's created, which is pushed out as web and mobile apps. So this is again how you can actually use your knowledge mining and in terms of building out apps, leveraging our AI and cognitive services. The solution gallery, this is available. I encourage those who are interested to go here and check out our Azure AI gallery. It has all kinds of phenomenal information available to you that you can browse through. You can, get, it's amazing how much information we have put out there that even a layman can leverage. So it doesn't have to be the techie only who can go and leverage it. You can actually spend some time understanding what AI is, how can you leverage it. you just asked me, saying, I need to know how I can use AI for my jewelry business, I would recommend you start by going here and understanding what are the different things that you would like to use, and then we could find a way to help you use it. I'd like to end today by saying that Brad Smith is the president of Microsoft, and this book is available to all, which is ultimately the question is not only what computers can do, it's what computers should do, right? This is something that we are very, very clear about, because computing power now is just phenomenal compared to what, every year it just changes. But we as responsible citizens need to make sure that when we build applications, when we build software, that it's being done responsibly, and we know that it is being done with an intent to help, to make more productive, and not to destroy. Any questions? Happy to take any questions. We have a couple of minutes before lunch.
Okay. Hi. Okay. I want to go a little bit back about the issue that you raised before about. I'm not concerned about the way how AI should or will replace the job, because I think this will give us as a human the ability to will give us the ability to think outside of the box and maybe create new jobs which right now even we cannot imagine right now. My concern, which is personally concern, and I would really like to have your opinion, even as a personal one, not as an official of Microsoft. Right now we are hearing about big tech companies which are trying to build AI, which will build their own AI itself. So this will at one point become, because we are trying also to make AI be more sensitive and have feeling. Will this be at one point our main concern about how they will react against us as we are trying to use AI as much as possible?
So if I understood your question, your concern is that as we keep training machines to think more and more like humans, will they be trained in a manner that would be counter-beneficial to us? Is that your concern? You're absolutely right. There is a very, very valid concern. Because of that concern, if you see, Microsoft actually started the ethical AI, the Ether Society, and trying to prove it. We are very, very aware, and I think a lot of people who are building AI apps are aware that it could be misused. Right? That's why when I do my workshops on AI, I do talk about ethical AI and the concerns, the consequentials. So if I were to go back on my... So this is, I think, a very, very important slide. If you look at it, the sensitive use of categories, the system purpose, technology, quality, and right? The right-hand side to me is of concern, because are you training machines? And you can do this really smartly if you're not keeping someone. As Microsoft, do we have more control over what we do ethically? The answer is yes. Does it mean that there are not groups of people who will create applications on their own that could be counterproductive and probably destructive more than anything else? The answer is yes. That is why there is this global phenomena of trying to make sure that when you're building it, there is that awareness. It is like anything that you build, right? Some things are built for good, but it can be abused, and as a result of the abuse, it lands up going into the wrong hands, and you don't want that to happen. So your concern is right, it's valid, and there is effort being made by many of the large companies who are providing this capability to make sure that we try and educate more than anything else the harmful effects if not used right.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Deeksha. I'm here as a part of the Indian delegation. We understood that what solutions AI can provide, but I'd also like to know what are some of the limitations that we are looking at with the use of AI, especially with startups. So if, what are the limitations or what are the avenues where AI can still grow, or what are the problems that, still require, say, human involvement?
See, everything will require human involvement, right? So I always preface it to say, if you're building something to augment, so in my mind, there's nothing called an AI startup, which is a myth. Every startup should use technology, and AI is one of the technologies to get to know their consumers better. So I go back to a simple use case, which says, I missed my flight, I called, right? If normally it would have taken maybe 6 to 10 minutes to retrace what my flight number was, what was the flight I missed, to give me another flight. So in this particular case, they know I've called my frequent flyer number, my customer ID, my telephone number. It knows I was on a flight and it gives you. That's how you leverage AI. The challenges are, because you don't understand how to leverage AI, that you build your system wrong. And that's why I went down to the, to the last slide that we had. When you are looking at building AI, do it with to understand what is the purpose. Do you need AI in everything? The answer is no. You don't need to have, or if you can do it in a simplistic manner, don't over-engineer it, right? So you need people to spend time to understand how they can leverage AI and in their startups, and then decide whether it's really needed. And for AI to work, you need a lot of data available. You need a lot of data to kind of create all the matching algorithms, the pattern matching, the machine learning that you have. So you need to see, is your startup going to work with tons and tons of data? Then yes, the answer is that you can leverage AI in terms of what you're doing. Or maybe you just use a chat bot, a very simplistic form of AI into your application. So understanding the use of AI, is really most relevant before you embark on the AI journey. All right, thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed this session. You can find me on LinkedIn, Latika Pai. Please send me an email at lapai@microsoft.com. Happy to answer any questions, and thank you for spending your afternoon here with us.